Pepsi or Coke? We're 100% sure that this isn't the first time you've been asked this question. After all, the rivalry between two of the most popular sodas in the world has existed for over decades now. While both Pepsi and Coke might look similar and even taste similar to some, both the beverages have extremely loyal fan bases that beg to differ. In fact, not only the fans, but the companies themselves have been at odds with each other since the 80s, with both of them trying to outdo the other every step of the way. But how exactly did this cola war between Pepsi and Coke start? And how has it managed to go on for so long without a clear winner? Let's find out.